On this episode of Wisdom and Hustle, I'm talking to Janise Graham, a 25-year insurance expert and founder of Leading in Style. She helps founders grapple with the important matters of succession planning. After her mother's good friend died in a plane crash and not having a plan for the business, she wondered how many other business owners had a plan. And just like that, a business was born to help other founders think about this very important aspect of business ownership, succession planning. We're going to talk about how she launched into the pandemic, how she continues on her journey, and what she does to stay in this business hustle. Welcome, Janise.
You. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, I love how this business was born. And tell us, a little bit more about that. And really, I love this name, Leaving in Style. So tell us more about that.
Absolutely. The leaving in style is almost, I guess, a merging of worlds. But it was really a, a desire to help business owners really understand that they can leave their businesses as gracefully as they've run them. The journey that I went on and started almost 25 years ago, was really with me being in the, retirement planning side of the business and really helping set up 401(k)s and help, folks understand retirement. And like you said, I had this awakening and realizing that I could set up these retirement plans, and if something happens to those business owners, it's all for naught. And I really had a passion for understanding how business worked, what happens when there's not a plan. Actually, I saw what happened when there was not a plan.
Mhm.
And on this journey and this process, I still have my other business, which is Entrepreneurs Insurance Services. But I really wanted to have a conversation with business owners that was beyond the insurance conversation, but really about protecting and planning. And with Leaving in Style, it was originally a little technical, but I wanted something that was palatable, that made sense, that was not as intimidating. And so, before the name of the company was actually the name of my book, which is of the same name. It's been a transition of helping business owners with their insurance strategies and also helping them with their business strategies so that they can leave their businesses as gracefully as they've run them.
And so, Jenny, a lot of people, we hear when we go to, business entrepreneurship training, how to start a business, like you start with the end in mind. And so is that something, I mean, because, think about this. Like when you're starting, you're not really thinking about the end. You're thinking about all the things that you need to get started. And so it's hard for people to really think about the end while they're trying to think about the launch.
That is exactly right, and we hear it all the time, and it's like, as you start your business, you gotta think about your exit. People are so excited about starting their business. It's like, "What do you mean I gotta think about the exit?" You're trying to get me out of it sooner than I can get in it, and besides, getting in it is hard. I have to understand all of these nuances and entity decisions and how I'm gonna structure and employees and standard operating procedures. There's a lot to learn getting into business. But it is true, and I think it's, Stephen Covey's habit number 5, beginning no, that's a different one, but it is in his book, You Begin with the End in Mind, and because that conversation is out there, no one knows where to go to get that information, and that's exactly where I come in. Exactly what I want them to do, is like, "Let me hold your hand and tell and show you what this process is." It doesn't have to take away from your newness and the excitingness of your business. And even if it's not a startup, maybe it's an acquisition, or maybe you've been in business for a long time and successful, you still don't want to think about the end. But if I can make it palatable and literally give you the steps and show you when it's done, it's done.
That's great. And so I think about Janice, like, while you was talking, I think about working every day. Like you start working, you probably start your career in your 20s, depending on what journey you take. But most people start in their 20s and they amass all this experience, but no one ever thinks about retirement. Like, when you're in your 20s and you say, "Oh, I'm going to retire one day," people are like, "Retire? Like, what?" And so that's kind of thinking about like your business. You start your business at whatever stage, and then you start to say, okay, like, so where do you want this to go? And how do you want this to end? And you're like, that's just so overwhelming, right? And so how do you get people to really, really, really think about like the end will be an end. And however that end looks, it will look different for people. How do you begin those conversations?
With visualizing, because, we make decisions emotionally and we justify them logically. So if I can appeal to your emotion, it's like, what does it look like? So often, because no one knows what that path looks like, it's so dark. They go, I'm never going to leave my business. I'm going to die in a chair. I'm like, well, that's an option. It has happened, but what if? What if you can actually do something different? What if you decide that you want to spend more time with your family? What if you wanted to travel? What would that look like? And if I can get you and get them to the point of visualizing something beyond, I have no idea. I love what I do. I'm never going to leave it. Then we can start the conversation of looking at something that's a little bit different. And then there's that tough conversation of what if it's not your choice? We have a greater chance of becoming disabled before we die.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
we don't want to think about that. But then again, we don't want to think about car accidents. We wear seatbelts. So what if we plan for the worst and expect the best?
mhm.
And that's where the conversation begins. And it's taking it, making it a little less sterile, and allowing the business owner to have a vision and have an imagination and have a dream. And if you wanna stay like Warren Buffett until you're 91 years old, yay, but you have a safety net just in case it doesn't work out.
Yeah. And so, Janice, how have you incorporated what you are, you know, coaching other business owners on in your own business and in this journey that you've been on?
That is a great question. What I have done, one of the things I've done is kind of change the conversation I'm having with business owners, because it's really about business continuity. Business succession is a portion of business continuity. So we're having that business continuity conversation. So in my business, as a business coach, I have friends that are coaches, and I have an amazing friend who is an amazing coach. She's an international coach, and there's a partnership that she has with another lady. They have two businesses, and I say, we need to have a conversation, because I have in my continuity, in my succession, that you will take over my business, and so it's like, and I have another trainer that's here in California. It's like, it's in my plan and my process that in the event that something happens to me and I have a local contract. It's like, I have it where my best friend will take over and we have the resources to pay for that. But if I have a need that's local, you're the trainer for the local area. So it's really taking a look at what I'm doing and what I want as a legacy. Now, my dream would be, like a lot of people, would be for my daughters to do it, but this is not their thing. Have to recognize that our children don't always have the same vision and desire. So I look outside and go, who are the experts that I know? Who are my friendly competitors, so to speak, that I can engage and have this conversation with? So I have a business continuity strategy that includes having other professionals that do what I do to
Mhm.
step in. Now, my best friend is more of a sales CEO coach, but her partner she's been through the process of succession, she understands business systems, and it's like, this is the perfect transition.
That's
So I
great.
have thought about it.
And so, these conversations that I'm hosting with what I say seasoned business owners really are is about their journey and their business and kind of like kind of the how they got started. And so before we pivot a little bit, like tell me like how has this journey been? Like we know that being a business owner is not for the faint at heart. And so how has your journey been, incorporating these 25 years of experience into what you're doing now?
It has been a journey. It really has. One of I say the saving grace for me was writing the book. So when I wrote Leaving in Style, Business Succession on Your Terms, the first time I wrote it, it was, like I said, a little technical. So I had to scrap it and do a total rewrite. I was tired. I was done. I guess another saving grace is it was happening during COVID. So I had nothing else to do. Well, I had plenty to do. I was a captive audience.
Why
So
not write a book, right?
I was writing a book, finishing a degree, working. But, I sat in the same seat for, 2, 3 years. Why
Yeah,
not?
yeah.
So writing the book was like a rebirth for me. It gave me new life and new energy and a new conversation. And so going into Leaving in Style and also recognizing my audience, uh, you know, uh, I live in a space and my colleagues are more largely male. They don't look like me. They do their business differently than I do. So it was quite a different, quite a struggle. So once I recognized, Janice, you're different. What you're doing is different. Your audience is different. I just leaned into it. And so now, when I do my marketing, I target women business owners. And I always say I'm always happy to help anyone. I do have a few brave men, but you recognize who is attracted to you. I want to save the world.
Mhm,
I know I can't do it by myself, but I'm going to start with those who are leaning in. And I found that those who are attracted to my message and my conversation happen to be established women business owners.
mhm.
So it's nice to feel welcome. It's nice to be in a place and space where you feel valued and
Mhm, mhm.
and that the information that you're giving someone actually wants to implement.
And it's nice that your tribe your tribe recognizes the value that you're bringing to the community. Is what I will say. And however you define community, whether it's the business community, the Black business community, the experience community, but your community recognizes, your tribe recognizes the value that you're bringing. And so you talk about, you mentioned that you're in this male dominated industry. So how has that been? And particularly as it relates to being a woman of color, breaking into in a male-dominated industry.
It was and is very difficult.
Mm.
I have colleagues because I belong to my industry association. I have actually two industries, the coaching and then the insurance. And my industry association is very, very male dominated. And those who know me like me, those who don't know me, well, you
They're
know,
at arm's length.
I'm a good read of people and I give them their space to warm up or not. But wherever I go, I always tell my husband, wherever I go, there I am, because I'm always the only one.
And you
And
belong.
yes, I do, but it's very difficult. It's exhausting, actually, to be honest with you. It is it's exhausting, but each day I get up, I show up, and I recognize. I joke with them. I go, I didn't realize I wasn't a man until 2020. I was trying to do business the way they did business.
Yeah, yeah,
Didn't work out the same way. And
yeah.
so it's like when you start leaning into who you are and it's okay in who you are, I just show up and smile and act like the mayor. It's like good, you know.
AK is a kiss babies, right?
That's right. And that makes it a little bit easier and it makes me a little bit more approachable. Maybe it's an intimidation factor. I'm tall, amongst other things.
Uh-huh.
All of this. I am tall. So it's their insecurities, it's not mine.
Yeah, yeah.
Once I recognize that, I make it a point to be, my normal gracious self,
Mhm, mhm.
everyone. Like I said, I'm a good read of people, so I will give you your space, and you do you, but I have to keep going,
Yep,
and people
absolutely.
need me, and you're not serving them.
Exactly. So you're feeling you're feeling a need, as they say.
Absolutely.
You're feeling a need. And so you've been in this game for 25 years. And so when you decided to take that leap, what scared you the most about that?
Oh, wow. It's so funny because this is my 25th anniversary in business, literally this year. And
Congratulations, by the way.
thank you. What scared me? Absolutely nothing 25 years ago. I was not
Oh,
afraid. anything. I spent 10 years in telecommunications. I've been in sales most of my life. And so I brought this telecom or this sales experience to the insurance industry because I worked for insurance companies before I had my own business. So it was I was working with some of the top agents for Transamerica on in the West Coast. And I was sitting out at these meetings going, I could do what they do. You know, I mean, they had these huge, huge cases. I mean, huge. And I was like, I could do that. So when I started working with the public, I was fearless. I had no fear, none at all, which is probably a good thing.
That
Um,
is a good thing.
I just, yeah, my mom was, when I was growing up, my mom was a sales rep with Xerox. So I saw that grind.
Mhm.
And, there was no fear, and I just kept going, and then by the time the fear and the, imposter syndrome and the insecurity
Mhm.
coming in, it was when I became a part of this whole group of people that I was a part of, but not a part of. So that was where the challenge came in. It wasn't in the beginning, it was really trying to scale and grow in a place where you didn't feel very welcome,
Mm.
but having the tenacity and the perseverance inside to say, I'm gonna keep going. And there were days I quit, trust me. There were days my husband would come in, I had blue paper on the bar, and he would go, "What are those?" I go, job app. I'm gonna look for a job." And I put them in blue so I wouldn't lose them. And he goes, "No, you're not. You're not gonna do that. You know, you're gonna keep going." And I'd take a nap and I'd have these great visions and I wake up and I just keep going. So 25 years later, I'm still here, but it wasn't because of what happened in the beginning, but
Mhm.
it's just that perseverance and having that the vision and having the message that I'm here to serve, and there are people that need me, and they're not being seen or heard.
Mhm. And so you have really found and leaned into your market, really.
And my
And
strength
and your what?
and my strengths, my
And your
gift.
strength. Yes, 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 yes. And so, I mentioned, s leaning into small business, becoming a work for yourself is not easy. And so, what were some of those challenges, and particularly as it relates to, like, getting clients? Like, you're out here, you're in this marketplace where you don't see a lot of you. And so, like, what were some of those challenges, and what you have found your tribe, but what was that easy? Was that difficult? Tell us about that.
Well, the it wasn't for me, it wasn't difficult because I have a natural marketing mind.
Okay.
So I won't say it was difficult, it just took some thinking. I had to
Mhm,
think about it, and all business owners have to do this, is once you get clarity of market, understanding your target market, your ideal client. Now, there will be people that come along because there's some of my colleagues, they're like, "Why are you targeting women? You're missing out on 50% of the population." I'm thinking, "No, I'm not." No, I'm not. But that's how they think, right? So
mhm,
when you have a clarity of market, it's not to exclude, it is to say, I have a laser focused marketing concept or idea that I'm going to follow. Are there those that will deviate from that? Absolutely. And it is A-okay with me. But I have to be focused in my marketing. So once I had that clarity, I started to ask my colleagues. I belong to a couple of business to business networking groups. And so that's how I build my client base is by networking and using warm markets because someone else out there already has my client. Why don't they just make the introduction?
mhm,
And in my business to business networking group, there are a lot of men, but I tell them, hey, do you have some women business owners?
mm,
Love to work with your your female clients. So that gives them something to think about because if they have other networking partners that do something similar to what I do, their buddies, their system, the good old system is still alive and well. They're going to think of those people first. But if I'm giving you one person to think about for me, I'm just kind of clearing the field and then it's like, you know what? I found that I have a really great connection with women business owners. Do you know who do you have that fits that? Oh, and now they have clarity of market. So
exactly.
I network that way. I do a lot of warm introductions. I do very few, I do no cold calling. I do nothing cold. I get into networking groups and build relationships.
I like it. And so, What has surprised you the most?
Wow, what has surprised you know what has surprised me the most? What has surprised me the most is how difficult it is to get people to feel comfortable about doing something that's uncomfortable. And what I tell them is, you know what you know. You may be an amazing plumber.
Mhm.
You could have a fleet of 30 trucks and you know plumbing. I don't, and it's okay because I can't tell you how many business owners go, I should know this. I feel really stupid. I never thought about that. You shouldn't know it. We weren't born with it. This is learned. I didn't know it.
Right, right, right.
So it's getting them to feel comfortable about leaning into a place and space of something that they don't know, or they'll get contradictory information or a little soundbite somewhere, and that's the end all be all. It's like, well, if you're open to learning more, I'm open to helping you, but you have to be open, and
Yeah.
that's the challenge.
And Janice, that's very similar to like at you work for somebody else. We don't come to a job knowing everything. And if you don't give yourself enough grace to say, I don't know that. Well, you're not supposed to know that. Like because you don't know you don't know the culture. You don't know the people. You're learning these things. And so you can't beat yourself up about the things that you don't know because we're always in a constant place of learning.
Yes,
And so I like that.
that's absolutely right, and you have to lean into it. I have 3 girls, and my youngest are twins. When they were in college and they were brilliant, 4.7 GPA, 4.5, and they went to schools here in California. They struggled. They're biological science majors, both of them by sheer coincidence. They struggled because they didn't know things. Now, in high school, it came out easy. They were just smart. It was really easy. It got to college, it was a little challenging. I said, well, why do you think you go to college? To learn, you know? And it's the same thing with business owners. It's like you're gonna as long as you continue to learn and
Mhm.
recognize you're not gonna know everything. As long as you are on this side of the grass, learn something new and
Yeah.
something new.
I think about when I always talk about, I always use this analogy that, you might be a good baker, but you don't know how to have a baking business.
Right.
And and because you're so focused on making pies and cakes and cookies, like how to grow that and move to a bigger kitchen and get more customers, like because you are just laser focused on doing what you do best.
Yes. Yes. But, you're baking cookies and giving them away because everybody likes the way they taste.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly, and you don't know how to monetize that, and so it's all learned, it's all learned, and speaking about learning, Janice, so when you started, what do you wish you knew that you know now? What do you wish you knew when you started that you know now?
I wish I would have sought out a female mentor.
Mm,
I mean, because the process of learning there's a lot of technical parts to my insurance business. The coaching side is a lot easier for me because it's a little bit more natural. But I wish I would have sought wise counsel.
mm, I like that.
Yeah, and it's like understanding business and the systems of business. I could have used a little help there, but I know that not innately, but I was interested in it, so I understand business systems. But I think it's just really getting good advice from someone who's had a path that's very similar, even if it's slightly different. It would have been great to have some women, female mentors.
I love that, wise counsel, and so we're here giving some wise counsel, like, what are some things that, you know, women or, people who are starting in business, particularly they lean into their what's next. Which sort of some things that they should expect that people would not typically expect?
Wow, when you say what's next, as in the next journey,
So
the next
what should people expect? Like if they're going into business, they're new, what should they expect?
My goodness. A deluge of information and misinformation. If I could talk to the YouTube channels and the people that tell everybody to get an LLC, oh my goodness.
Mhm.
It is, "Oh, you gotta start a business, you have to have an LLC." No, there are different entity structures for a reason. So,
Mhm.
deluge of information, and I think the biggest challenge is sorting through it and trying to figure out what is real, is going to make sense for you, and bring it down a notch. Most of the things you see are going to be exciting. Everything's going to be possible. You're going to be a millionaire by the end of the year. But the reality is that look for things that are going to help you build the foundation of the business first. It's think of a high rise. It's got a solid foundation, and that foundation doesn't start at street level. It starts underground. It's a long a ways down, building structures so that you can go higher. There's a lot of things out there that are gonna say, "Start here and go up." No, 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 start at the first floor, build it, and then go up.
Mhm.
Otherwise, there's gonna be parts of the business that are gonna falter and fail. Oftentimes, depends on your resources. You may have the ability to bring in, a tax advisor, a business advisor, an attorney, a business attorney to read contracts. If you have that, great. If you don't, find the resources to get that type of advice so that as you build the business and you understand it, that you're building something strong. Like I said before, target marketing, understanding your marketing, having a business plan. A lot of people go, "Oh, you don't need a business plan. I've been in business 20 years and I don't have one." It's all up here until you hit your head.
Yeah.
You know, having a business plan allows others to help you.
Mhm.
Start with a business plan, start with the basics, and then build from there.
And where should people go? I mean, like, and let's think about like we're in a room and you're in a room of you want to start a business. You're in a room with other business owners who have been in the game for so long. Like, but where do you go to get all this information and training? Like,
Oh, there's
that's what people ask me.
There's lots of places. Again, it depends on where you are and what the resources are that you have. You can hire a business coach. I've coached businesses for over 10 years. I did a lot of it serving women at our women's business centers. So the Small Business Administration has resources that are available. There's that there it, Across the nation, there are women's business centers that will help women. There's a small business development centers they will help, and those are free resources. They are paid. We were paid by the grants from the Small Business Administration. There are lots of free resources. Now, there are folks that are real serious and they want to get in and get it done. Then it's a matter of finding someone like myself that's a business coach that can say, "This is where you start. Let's navigate this journey." My thing and my gift is that I have worked with those from ideation to startup. And then in my practice, I always had those that I always said are at cruising altitude that are looking to land. But finding someone that can help you with that ideation and startup phase and making sure that you have the systems in place. There's free resources and there's also, paid resources. I belong to NAVO, National Association of Women Business Owners. There are business coaches there as well. So there's a lot of places that you can find them, but it's just being intentional and having the clarity of what you're looking for.
It's great. Because, you're not, because so many people have done it. And so many people have realized that there are so many people who want to do it that they have connected with resources. They themselves have become a resource.
Absolutely.
And so you're really not out here alone. It's just a matter of finding it. And I know that there was a study done, particularly of women, older women of color who are starting businesses. Like they started, but they didn't know where to go for more information. And it feels like it's only available to those who are in circles of other business owners. And so when you're out here, just have an idea and you need to talk to somebody about it and how to get that started, you start to hit these brick walls. And I think that our community particularly oftentimes don't have those places to go. So yeah, it's good to know that, like our small business resource centers and the women's resource centers are available at no cost, particularly for those of us who are interested in launching a business. And
Uh,
so What's next for Leaving in Style, and how can people can find you and participate in your Ask Me Anything held every Friday?
Oh, wow. There's so much on the horizon. There's just not enough time. I was telling my husband, go, look, okay, I know last year I said I wasn't going to work weekends. I think I need to pull Saturdays back in because I have so much to do. What's next is I'm really building out some self-study programs so that someone can learn on their own. I have an 8-week course on business succession. I'm doing one now on business continuity so that if you are in another country or you like to learn at midnight, it's a self-paced course that is being built out so that you can do that. I'm really trying to reach out to the municipalities and the government and just kind of take it up a notch. I have found that working with corporations has been a lot of fun because they have the resources to provide to bring me in to help their small business owners. So if they're doing small business outreach, small business development. So if Verizon's listening, I will be talking to you, Verizon. I've been a loyal client for many years. But for example, they have a digital platform for small businesses. Someone's on there teaching. Yes, they're just and then when they talk about succession, it is that a platitude. It's not bringing it down to the place and space where people can actually do things. So, leading in style, my vision is to take this conversation to a higher mountain, so to speak, and shout it out so more business owners can hear it and not be afraid of it, and to continue to grow. And my Ask Me Anything is actually held every second Friday. So I don't know when this is going to air, but it's every second second Friday of every month. I open up my Zoom, and it's just a drop in. It's like you can drop in, ask a question, and leave. You can drop in and just listen. I have ladies that come in and stay the whole hour. We just have a great time talking, and the conversation is business. I had someone come in because she had trouble keeping good employees. So we talked about that. We talked about what does your job description look like? What does your interview process look like? So it's truly a business conversation, but with a very welcoming community.
And so it's really it's the goal. You can get that one-on-one assistant that most people need when they get stuck.
Absolutely, and it's free.
And it's free. It's free when they get stuck in business. I love it. So Janice, before we close, I ask everyone, what are your words of wisdom for staying in the hustle?
Wow, I love that. I have many words because each year I have a new word. And this is a word that just, I it's almost 2 words. So I'll have to say, uh, it's possible. So it's possible. Possible is the word. And when you think it's not possible, find something that's inspirational, motivational. Keep a resource. I keep a folder of YouTube videos and it's called Motivation that I go to, and my level of motivation is different, or what I see as motivation may be different than what you see. I like business stuff, so I like to listen to things that are motivational, that are possible in business. So there are going to be many a days that it's tough, and when you look at everybody on television and they look like they're all happy and everything's easy, it's not. They are just pedaling fiercely underwater. But just remember that it is possible.
I love that. They're pedaling fiercely underwater. That is a nugget to take away. Janice, thank you so much. This has been such an inspiring and encouraging conversation. And I just want to thank everyone else for joining us on this Wisdom and Hustle podcast. I hope you found these conversations with founders inspiring, motivating, and encouraging to start your own hustle. And be sure to listen to these conversations wherever you enjoy your podcasts. Thank you. And until next time.